A moment of significant change or a turning point, altering your course, is known as an inflection point. In business, these moments have a significant impact in many ways. That's why we're speaking with leaders from across the asset management industry to hear the stories of their inflection points and the impact they've had on their journeys. Join me and my colleague Mark Spina as we explore the business of being in business, with insights that can help you wherever you may find yourself. This is Inflection Points. Good morning, Browning. Thanks for joining me.
Hey, thank you, Jillian. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely. No, it's my pleasure. I'm thrilled to have you here on Inflection Points. I am thrilled to have Browning Mank from ForwardLane.com joining me here this morning for what I know is going to be a really fun conversation. Browning, as we've talked about on Inflection Points, it's the business of being in business, right? And the inflection points that occur naturally throughout all of our careers. And then also, do we sit at a certain inflection point in the industry of which you spend your time? So I think maybe as we kick off, for those that don't know you, our listeners, let's talk about what you're doing at ForwardLane.com. What is ForwardLane.com?
Okay, that sounds like a perfect start.
Yeah.
So I do strategic business development and a little bit of everything else, being in a startup and a small business. Really, ForwardLane and now Flex AI, as we partner with you guys.
Yes.
It's a data analytics platform with next best actions, client engagement. It's affordable, it's easy to use, it's transparent, intuitive, and kind of does the heavy lifting of synthesizing structured and unstructured data points that you would use anyway with your clients to be able to have healthy interactions and engagement with them. So for example, just like in less than 5 minutes, you can prepare for client appointments, you can send an interesting article to 3 of your clients, you could turn around and know exactly who you're going to speak to and engage with that day if you have some downtime.
That's so a great point.
It just makes your work more fun, I think, and more relevant to your clients and personalized to your clients. And to me, is a game changer in the industry because it creates a lot of time so that you can be productive building relationships rather than looking at data and analyzing it.
Yeah, I think, what you hit on is so important. I mean, as you know, we both have been in distribution for many moons. And in the last number of years, I think data is the ultimate 4-letter word. It is driving all of what we do. I mean, there is certainly still an art to the art and science of which I do believe sales is. But that science part is becoming so much more important. And to your point, I always have a hard time saying that, next best action, which you referred to, it makes for a better engagement for the salesperson and the advisor, which I think is just so critical. Bringing them relevant information that we know from the data is what we assume they're going to want to hear and learn about. And so to your point, through our partnership with Flex AI, to provide that to our asset managers or RIA clients is very compelling. So,
and for sure, it's not, it's prescriptive, but it's not prescriptive. It could be a conversation starter that leads to a really great engagement.
Sure.
But the thing is to be able to generate those ideas and not have to overthink everything. And then you get to put your art into
exactly right. Exactly
So.
right. Using the science to assist the art, and making for that better level engagement. So I totally agree. I think it is certainly the future. We're seeing it already, and it's just going to continue to drive, whether you're an asset manager, salesperson, or you're an RIA, looking to better engage with their underlying clients as well. So, so ForwardLane, let's rewind back. We'll go back to the beginning, right? So when I was looking at your LinkedIn, I didn't realize how long you spent at Fidelity. almost 20 years at Fidelity.
Right.
You had a variety of roles there, but so what did you do at Fidelity? And I think most importantly, after 19 years at one company, what was the catalyst to change?
Oh, that's a great question. So to answer that directly, the catalyst was really my family. So my
Okay.
boys were very young at the time, and they were actually diagnosed on the autism spectrum and just
Okay.
needed more support and
Wow.
different, and just more than what I think I could do, being on the
Mhm.
road a lot and trying to support my husband, and he was doing everything he could do. So I
Yeah.
thought I would put my family first, focus on their needs first. And I actually thought I'd go back to Fidelity after that break and kind
Yeah.
of get them on path, but I got hit by the entrepreneurial bug. So, so it derailed me from my Fidelity path. But I love Fidelity. Every couple years, I got a new opportunity with them and got a chance to stretch and grow.
Wow.
But I learned a ton of lessons there. So
That's awesome. It is so interesting, as we were just talking about, I have a young son, who's just over a year old, and it's incredible what you do, how much your life change and your priorities change when they enter the picture. And this idea of, I like to think about it as work-life integration.
mhm.
And how do you do the things that you need to do to be there for your family in different ways? I can't imagine having my old life where I was on the road constantly and
Yeah.
having him, so I think that's super. And I did not know that that was the reason that you left Fidelity, but it certainly rings very, very true with me, including the entrepreneurial piece, right?
Yeah.
Given
Yeah.
where I sit and where you sit currently. So it seems like the entrepreneurial bug bit you, and certainly doesn't seem to have left you, in terms of where you then went in the next sort of pivots in your career. I think that's an incredible inflection point in doing what you did for your family, for your boys. What was Ackerman? Talk to me a little bit about what it was that you were doing there, because you
Oh,
had some
yeah.
interesting pivots like over that time as you were doing the entrepreneurial thing, building your own business.
I did. I did. In fact, it was a testing of all that I had learned at Fidelity for almost 20 years. It was a testing of, do I really know how to lead a team? Can it
Yeah.
translate into other industries, other ideas, and to other types of teams with different cultures? Can I build my own culture outside of that? I mean, I opened a childcare, what was going to be a childcare franchise
Oh,
here in North Dallas, and worked with a different business partner and had a whole different experience where I got my hat handed to me, as well as have one of the biggest accomplishments of my life. And it enabled me to pivot back to financial services, where I felt very comfortable and could make a strong impact in doing recruiting and consulting. But the move to Ackerman was, really, I was jonesing to be on a team again.
sure.
There was a lot of things at Fidelity I learned, and over the transitions of my entrepreneurial time,
Hmm.
that I had learned. And it one of them is being on a team, getting energy from a team, having a diversity of thought around you to make you better, and you really never outperform your inner circle. So you create it, and that's a John Wooden. That's not me. It's John Wooden. Um, and he's truly talking about surrounding yourself with people going in the same direction as you, and people that are, going to challenge you and, be equally engaged, and ideally for me, and, um, smarter, more capable, more experienced, because I'm a really curious person. I love to learn from others, and I've learned
Yeah.
early on that I'll never be the smartest person in the room. So I might as well get comfortable
Well,
and
I think what you're saying is like working with people whose strengths complement yours, right? So, I think you probably are the smartest person in the room many times, but even if not, knowing the resources to utilize to get what you need. And we joked about it the other day when I was talking about how, I'm going to get an asset manager, interested in Flex AI, and then phone a friend, right? Know what
yeah.
you don't know, leverage your strengths, find people who have complementary skills to yours. And I think that's really critical, to a successful organization. That diversity of thought, right, is
Oh,
so
I
important.
100% agree with you there. And I think sometimes you do fake it till you make it, but you're never dishonest about that. You don't
Hmm.
take a client down a road that you don't have, good information, where you're helping them make a good decision and being a great fiduciary, and, really add value,
Hmm.
versus detract or distract, and sometimes that might mean that you're not the best fit. But,
Yeah.
but finding out that information and being right about it and being a good guide. Yeah, so that's why Ackerman, and they had some interesting things going on too. So I always like to make myself uncomfortable when I start feeling comfortable, like I can do this. And that's probably why I had an opportunity. Sometimes I created the opportunity at Fidelity every couple of years of changing teams and doing a new thing. And it was really, or getting called or asked to do that. It was about feeling uncomfortable so it would stretch and grow me. And with David and Ackerman, I got a chance to like launch a website, redo their marketing, build a few hedge funds. So for your asset managers, I really understood them. I've always worked in an asset management firm with Fidelity Investments, but we worked very closely alongside them. Didn't necessarily get a chance to build my own fund and really, or assist somebody in building theirs. Yeah. And it was just a whole different type of experience. So felt really lucky to do that.
I think that's what you just said, I think is so important. I was funny enough having the same conversation with someone earlier about, especially in an early stage company, being comfortable being uncomfortable. How did you, if you were counseling someone, how did you get your success? I think it's incredibly honorable that you actively seek out that discomfort or not discomfort, but lack of comfort, right?
Right.
How would you counsel, what advice would you give to someone to get comfortable being uncomfortable and what value it provides to you?
It's a really good question. I would encourage them to know themselves better, or maybe they do know themselves, but really take and have confidence in that. So that they know their strengths, they know the value that they add. It's not putting on airs or lack of humility. It's just being able to feel good about contributing. And when you can do that, I think it helps you know where you stand on a team, helps you engage with others and be curious, not try to be everything to everybody. And not try to, and I'm definitely ADD type A, so I strive for perfectionism sometimes, but I had to get super comfortable with being uncomfortable failing, and you end up failing a lot more than you end up succeeding. And so, and then the wins are greater, that's been my experience at least.
And that's such excellent advice. The failing piece, I think, is what people have to get comfortable with. And I used to encourage people to fail, right? Not obviously, you know what I mean, but like, take the risk. It's okay. Take the risk, try to do something creative, try to come up with a cool idea, a way to reach a client or bring in new business. And if it doesn't work, we reevaluate and we move on. Maybe there's something we can tweak to make it work, but I think that's certainly really, really good advice.
What's the worst thing that can happen, right? And
yeah, exactly.
The other piece that I had to learn, because in my entrepreneur days, I did hit a wall one point that I made a mistake, and that was because I was okay with being uncomfortable, and I was okay taking risks, but I had to learn the lesson that you should never take too big of a risk when you're making decisions under extreme emotional circumstances. So. And that includes highs. So you might be on a high, you won the lottery, I'm going to do all these things for you. It certainly includes lows of unexpected problems or disastrous kind of outcomes. But that was a real Harvard lesson for me. If I was going to pay for one, that would be my Harvard education.
You're right. I mean, it is there. Risk taking is interesting. You think about the journey that you go on to make the decision that you made to leave Fidelity, or even my journey from JP Morgan to Flex, right? Like, there's a risk there. And to have the family support that you have and understanding, is it the right time to take that risk, investing and trusting in yourself, that you're making the right decision, is it's not easy, right? It's not easy. It doesn't necessarily always come naturally, but being confident that you are investing in yourself. Last story, and then we'll move on to ForwardLane. But I think I mentor a young woman, and she said to me yesterday that it was actually really, really fascinating. I think you'll appreciate this as a woman too, where she'd been talking with a different company. She's currently at a certain firm, wasn't really happy because of her management team that she reported to, and she was talking to a different company. And because of that, in a conversation with the global leader of her business, she said, I think you need to understand like what's happening. This is my situation, the whole thing. Totally like gutsy, right? To say this. And she said, I felt like I was empowered to do so because I had this other thing that I could feel like I could fall back on.
Right.
And she ended up getting literally in 2 hours, had a new manager, had gotten a raise, like all this stuff happened. It was amazing. Awesome. And I said, you know what? And this is that we all need to remember this. Like even though you had that other job sort of in your purview, even if you didn't feel empowered to do what you did, because that job's out there, right? Have the confidence in yourself that it's there. You've invested in yourself. It's there. You need to advocate for yourself regardless. I just thought it was really interesting because we sometimes get really fixated on, well, I'm not gonna advocate for myself because I just don't want something to go wrong. But like in reality, that job is there theoretically for her otherwise. And so I think that for me, especially as a woman, that struck me that we need to be better at advocating and investing in ourselves.
I'm feeling confident that to your point that it's there, you'll find it. There's if that didn't work, there's a reason it didn't work, whether they made a bad choice or you made a bad choice. But I think it is tough for women or perfectionists in general to not be feel like they've got everything done, that they are perfect for the next thing, but to know that the next thing is there. Another thing that helps you, I think, and that's knowing yourself, right? And feeling confident in knowing yourself, but it's also knowing your values. So business values or personal values, or as they cross over. I've always been a value-centric servant leader type of leader, and serving others in a team. You're humble, you're building trust, for me, I have a strength in making connections and trying to bring out the best in others and influence them to bring out the best. But your values are so important. I mean, my values, I love about our firm too, is just transparency. But when you're looking for joining a team and being on a team and making decisions and being able to stand up and talk about the next, maybe an idea, if you have trust in place, if it's an idea that's different than somebody else's, or if it's feedback that you think would be helpful to that person, and you have the trust and you're doing it with a kind of a loving heart, you make a difference, and you really are trying to help for the better outcome. But I have always had a need to be on like-minded values with lots of diversity around me to make me better and keep me uncomfortable. That might, if I'm having an introvert on my team where I'm kind of extroverted, it makes me stop, slow down, think, because I can act a lot of times and not necessarily take that extra time to think through all the repercussions. But I have values of integrity that's with courage and character. I have values of diversity with inclusiveness. You can't just have diversity and not include people, I'm curious. I have a growth mindset. I always want to learn. And I like leadership, but I like humble leadership, humble leaders. And I really like being able to care for others and be part of a team that's caring and generous in their care. So
absolutely. I think when you get to values. I think that's phenomenal. And I think when you get to the point you are in your career, when you made your next pivot, or this last pivot to ForwardLane, I know culture for me personally was a huge part of what I was looking for. Like I've done a variety of other things and I've been in cultures that I didn't want. And I think you're always seeking out cultures that you had and loved.
Right.
And so to find it, I guess, what was that drive to ForwardLane for you like? I mean, because I know you've spent like you said, in asset management, RIAs, all the work that you were doing. What was that drive to ForwardLane, this most recent and what has been to date your final stop?
Well, I think there was nothing negative. It was really going towards a positive.
Yeah. Which I think you should always, don't run from something, run to something, right?
100%. Good point. You're right. But I needed to get uncomfortable again. I was getting comfortable. I needed a new challenge. The industry was moving like crazy, and I wanted to be on a team that wanted to go in a new direction to really shape a bigger part of the industry with what they're doing. And and to be uncomfortable, I've done a lot of different things. I think I did every role in a branch. I did every, ran regionals. I was in phones. I did a lot of different things in the industry, but so I wanted to use those relationships that I cared about and that understanding, but apply it into a technology space where I am totally uncomfortable to stretch myself. So the fintech world is what I was looking at to join, and the team I found had to do with the top performers. That's just like being able to work with cool people. Nathan Stevenson's awesome. He's but our whole team, we all add different value. We are very, very different, but Nathan's kind of the savant, and Dylan, Mansoor, Ashish, the clients that we work with, the prospects that I talk to, yourself, and Flex is a new team member. All of that, it represents that for me. And so I have a surprise for you at the end.
Oh, geez.
Where we can celebrate our relationship together. And
yay.
So remind me of that. I'll do that for sure.
I would love that. Because I do think it's interesting. And maybe a question I can maybe end on before we get into some personal stuff. I think we talked about the art and the science and how data is driving everything. Do you feel like when you made that pivot, right, the intersection of fintech and asset management, do you feel like we sit at an inflection point in the industry where data and technology is going to drive, forget what we're talking about with what ForwardLane.com and Flex AI does, drive more and more of what we're doing? And what are your thoughts on sort of data driving and enhancing engagement experience within asset management?
Good question. Big question, but I think it has to do with everything. And that's the direction of a lot of industries, but specifically ours. And it's seismic changes happening in the financial services. And I do think, I was talking to a company, a consultancy firm yesterday, Convergency Partners, who really do look at the convergence between asset management, wealth management, and technology. I was just at an SME conference where we're looking at that, and having that our industry enabled by data is so important, but it's also overwhelming. So knowing how to float up the data, how to get to the right kind of data, how to take action with the right opportunity or person at the right time with the right message is difficult to do. So wherever technology can help you do that, you let it serve it up for you, because get rid of some of that science and you'll be able to apply and focus your own energy on the art and science that's important to the core of what your business does. So
it's not removing the human element, right? It's enhancing the human element. I think that's what a lot of people get concerned. Do you still need X, Y, or Z role because you have the data that's supporting that? No, actually, I think it enhances it. And even if you think about some organizations, adds more opportunity for folks within areas like sales enablement and data, all these things that need to be supported to provide the data to the individuals that are going to be using it to enhance their conversations.
Yeah, and data is going to tell you things that you may not want to hear sometimes, right? But it will help you address it. There's tons of mergers and acquisitions going on in the industry. That means there's tons of changing cultures, or cultures that are getting influenced to align and move forward together. And I think that that's happening across asset management and the wealth management space. That's why you're seeing a lot more hybrid type of companies, and it's going to continue to get more blended. So to be able to kind of go to data and test, is this the right merger and acquisition to make. You might go to a Truelytics and see what they say about it and where the health of the company is, and then continually check your health against it, and maybe not just tell yourself what you might want to hear of, oh yeah, they all the good news, but react off of more facts and learn from that and grow. And sometimes the facts are good news, so do more of it, right?
Oh, absolutely. Well, and something just struck me, sort of a dovetail off what we were talking about within asset management, right? I've worked at asset managers my whole career until now, and their adoption of data to empower their sales teams working with advisors is clear. You also, in ForwardLane and Flex, as part of that Flex AI, offered this resource to advisors, to RIAs, to service their clients. Are you seeing the adoption of data? Are we seeing an inflection point in the adoption of data by the RIAs and maybe a Convergency Partners or some of these larger firms? Yes, but generally speaking, if you were to sort of make an estimation of what we're seeing within that part of the wealth management market, are we seeing it?
It's well, a Gartner study that I just read recently indicates not really. Maybe 1 in 10 RIAs are really using AI to help them look through data and really make the most and do the analytics to help grow their business. And yet, of those it's over 70% of them, large 80, that absolutely think it's critical to their business, that they use it and love it. And so it just tells you, if you would get started and try it and see what components of your tech stack that you're maximizing, and figure out how to activate your data the right way so you take actions in a direction you want to go, is important. So
education and helping them understand the value and how they can be more productive, I think, is a big piece of it, which hopefully we can do together.
It's just, they're also very busy, but that's the best time to do something new and to integrate and get help. But it's easy to kind of, you only have so much mind share. So you have to kind of force yourself into that discipline to try something new and to stop, think. One of the best career advice I ever got was, effectively find a quiet place and use a humble pen, right? Like, just stop and think. And that's a Paul Simon quote, because I love Paul Simon. But it's to stop and think and really strategize, plan, and write down those plans and recharge, so that you can, you're kind of going slow to go fast, and then you can start moving fast. Really think about your tech stack, really think about the data you need and why you need it, and how it helps your clients and how it helps you in serving your clients, and then implement the changes that will help maximize that.
Sure. Somebody told me one time, you have to get outside your business to really change your business, right? Take a step back, step away. Right. So we could keep talking for forever, I think, on these topics. It's something we're both quite passionate about. But I think to tie a bow on our conversation, I did just learn, as we were getting ready to start recording this podcast today, that Browning's husband is a musician. She had a couple of guitars behind her. And so I love to end these conversations by asking, what are you reading or listening to? Because I am with a 14-month-old son, my reading time is limited, but I do a lot of listening. I listen to a lot of podcasts, and we listen to a lot of music in the house. So what are you reading or listening to right now?
Oh, interesting. So I would have to promote my husband, Timothy Mank.
Yes.
One of my favorite. Paul Simon is one of my favorites. Sting is one of my favorites. So that's my go-to kind of comfort food, right? But lately I pulled out a couple artists that I love. One's, and they made a splash over the last couple of years in their own right. And I don't know why, but I'm going for more of a country earthy vibe. I've been writing a lot myself, but I love Maren Morris and kind of her albums and kind of the voice that she brings to it and the musicality. Just got, I went to an Elle King concert recently.
Oh yeah.
Love Elle King. And I just like the women and their writing is so genuine, and they're able to kind of bring to life daily things in an interesting way and be themselves in doing it. And I'm just very attracted to that. So they inspired me to start writing some poems and stuff that I've never done before.
Wow.
I can't say that they're any good, but it gets me thinking and writing and using a different part of my brain.
Well, I think that's what's so important. If it gets you doing something creative, and again, this is sort of your theme, outside your comfort zone, which I think if anybody takes anything away from this today, let's all encourage ourselves to get a little uncomfortable. It will push us to higher heights at the end of the day. Yeah, absolutely.
So can I do my celebratory thing?
Yes, please.
Okay. So whenever I join new teams, and this started way back when one of my favorite people, Kirk Bogart at Fidelity, had shown me this and used it to kick off his new team.
Yes.
He was leading the Western region. He would get a great bottle of champagne.
I'm noting that it is 10:40 a.m. where both she and I live.
Early. I'm going to have to find somebody to drink this with me. You get a saber.
Oh my gosh.
And he always told the story, so I always tell the story, and I launch every new team with it. And we have, the new partnership. We're a new team with FlexAI.
Absolutely, with FlexAI.
And so the story is, in Napoleonic times, they would go off to battle and war and try to conquer. And they would have their parties before the war, enjoy it, right? And they would saber champagne. And when they sabered the champagne, if it was going to be, if it came off cleanly, if the top came off cleanly, it was going to be a really easy win, a great battle. But if it comes off jagged, it doesn't mean they weren't winning or going to win, but it's just going to be tough.
A little bit rough,
a little foreshadowing to see if we're going to have an easy, fun, just straight on win, or we're going to go through some challenges together.
Let's do it.
But all you do is you slide against the bottle, and then it's going to come off. Can you see it okay?
I can see it. You're perfect.
Okay. Take off all this stuff, but you don't take off the top.
Okay.
And I missed the first one, but you put pressure on it. You can use any large knife, and it doesn't have to have a hard edge, but it has to be heavy. And I am out of practice. Maybe we're not going to.
Clearly.
I hope you can edit. I can't get it together. Oh no.
We will fix it.
Bubbling. Here, we'll start it again. No.
Okay.
All right, hang on.
I have never done this, so I don't have any advice.
Oh, the advice is, so you know how you make mistakes even when you've done something a very long time?
Take that off.
I stinking forgot to unscrew this thing and take this part
I wasn't going to say it.
I
wasn't sure. Okay.
Yeah, you don't take the cork off.
But you take that off.
So reset.
Now let's see.
And now let's see if we do something.
Yes, good partnership. Good mojo.
Yeah, I think I need my knife because I've never
used mojo for FlexAI.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So
we're going to stop it, and I'm going to find a knife. Pretend.
That's so hilarious. I love it. Well, hey, cheers to an awesome partnership. And providing so many data solutions to the industry.
I think I'm meant to keep the bottle for when I'm with you, and then
that's right. And then we can actually have a drink when it's not 10:43 a.m.
Yeah, and I'll be more practiced. Clearly, I've never had that happen, but for you today, I'm very sorry.
I love it. That's wonderful. Well, Browning, thank you so much for joining. This has been an awesome conversation. And for those of you that are interested, certainly to learn more about what it is we're talking about with FlexAI, I certainly encourage everyone to reach out to, there it is.
Always when you're not.
And the champagne has opened.
Under control. And I will have one glass because I think I don't want to waste it all while it's cold.
We have cheers. That is a good sign to a good partnership. So certainly encourage everyone to reach out.
Clean.
Yeah, perfect clean. encourage
made for
everyone
each
to
other.
reach out to us if you do want to learn more about Flex AI. But certainly, Browning, such incredible nuggets for the audience to take away today. I am most particularly taking away, let's get comfortable being uncomfortable. So thank you again for the time.
Of course. Thank you for having me. Bye,
Thank
Jillian.
you.
The information contained in this recording is provided as is for educational and informational purposes only and should not serve as the basis for any trading or investing decisions. Flex Networks makes no representations and disclaims all express, implied, and statutory warranties of any kind to any viewer, listener, or other third party. Neither Flex Networks nor any of its affiliates make any endorsement of any particular company, security, product, or financial strategy, and nothing contained in this recording should be construed as investment advice. Investors should undertake their own due diligence and carefully evaluate companies before investing.